So today's project, a BMW. This is a first for me. I've never worked on a BMW, but hopefully we can figure it out. So the issue with this one is that it contracted the Carolina squat disease, and the back is sagging, the front is lifted, so we need to try to correct that. Now, if you're familiar with the Carolina squat, that's where people take their SUVs and their trucks and, you know, they buy the front lift kit, but they decide to drop the bottom or not lift the back, and it looks ridiculous, horrible, stupid, and it ruins the vehicle. But anyways, moving on. So the issue with this one is that the back is not raising. This has an air suspension with airbags and an air pump, and apparently it's not working. I've never worked on a BMW. This is a 2013 X3M. It's kind of funny looking, but I mean, if it works, it works. I will say, do like the colors. Wheels look pretty cool. But I figured with a little basic knowledge, you know, checking powers, grounds, wiring, and all that type of stuff, we might be able to diagnose it and see, is it the pump, a relay, a fuse, wiring? Not sure. So let's pull it in. All right, so first things first, verify the customer complaint, which obviously the back is sagging, but I'm gonna plug in the scanner, see what it tells me. So this is from Top Scan, from Top Non. It's actually worked really good with a bunch of vehicles, and as cheap as it is, pretty beneficial. Now I need to figure out where in the Blue Thunder is the OBD2 port. Right over here. Alright, I will say these are nice looking cars, very comfortable, but when they break, holy bananas do they break. That's definitely not good. This thing sucks. You gotta pay for a subscription, which I didn't know about that, and I've had it for maybe 6 months, so I guess they give you a free trial for it, which it worked good for those 6 months, but now you got to pay like $130 a year for a subscription to use it. So that kind of blows, and for that amount of money you're better off investing in a real scanner. But anywho's, I guess we're gonna go old-fashioned and just kind of check powers and grounds and see what happens from there. But it would have been nice to have bi-directional control on it, so let's see what we find out. So on the passenger side, and I figured let's get started with fuses. So it's like 3 screws that hold it. They're T20, and then little Phillips which you pull down, and the fuse is F32, which of course I can't find the labeling, but I did figure out that it is this one right over here. It's a 40 amp one, and taking a look at it, it looks fine. Now I do have the car and accessory, and let's just verify my tool. Okay, let's pop the fuse back in. Maybe. Okay. Nothing. Well, that's very odd and interesting. So I think the next thing I want to do is check the connector to the pump, see if I'm getting power there, because then at that point, am I chasing a relay or a broken wire? All right, so underneath the vehicle, this is the pump. Now the customer did try replacing this pump, and well, got the connectors, 2 wires, and I can't seem to find a wiring diagram on this, so we're shooting blind a little bit. But got that connector unplugged. No power, so I have no power at the fuse, no power at the connector. Now the question is, does this thing send power when the engine is running? I think what I need to do is start the car and then check for power. So let's do that. All right, engine's running. And this car sounds really bad. So even with the engine running, we're not getting any power to the connector. All right, so this one's kicking my butt. And here's the thing, number one, I don't have the right tools or the right information, which is harder with these new cars because, I mean, it's not readily out there. So 2013 BMW X6, they have tons of information for the X5, but there are some different variations in the fuse boxes and the wiring on it. I was able to find a wiring diagram which helped significantly, but I'm still not definitive on what I think is wrong. But what's making me think what's going on is that this module may have went bad. So I've taken it apart, I've done a visual inspection, which to the naked eye, everything looks okay. I mean, I don't see no green crusties or anything. I cleaned it with the BMW 100, so maybe that will help clean it up, but everything looks okay with this. So this is the module that controls that air suspension system. Now, not having a good scanner or bidirectional scanner, I can't tell if the module is offline, online, or even talk to it. So that's a problem. So diving into the trunk and looking at that wiring diagram, right over here, this is the rear fuse box, and apparently this is the 10 amp fuse that's also associated with the air suspension system. I tested the fuse, I have power here at the fuse. So now, according to that diagram, the red and yellow wire, so let's kind of rewind a little bit. Over here, that module sits right in here. So this module over here, it's right next to this other module, but right over here is where the air suspension module goes in. I'm going to plug it in a little bit, and I've also disconnected the battery with another idea of maybe resetting the system. Doubtful, but you never know. But this is the connector for it. There's 26 pins, and pin number 12, which is the black and red, goes to the fuse under the dash. Pin number, correction on that, taking a look at that diagram again, pin 22, which this is 13, 24, which is right around over here. So it's marked 13 and not 24, 26. Count back over here. I went ahead and probed it, and I have power on that pin. And the way that pin, I guess, is associated is this 10 amp fuse and this relay, which is also kind of associated together. This relay, it's supposed to be on, it clicks on. I did verify this relay does work, and the 10 amp, the relay is sending signal. So I do have power at pin 22, which is the red and yellow wire. So we're good there. Now I checked, and the red and black, which is pin 12, so we have 13 and 12, I don't have power there, and that's also supposed to be a hot or positive, so I don't have power there. Well, that one goes all the way into the cab, that wire, and it comes right into over here, which is up at the top. It's a 40 amp, and I don't have power here, and I don't have power here, so there's no power being sent to this fuse box. And tracing the wires, the red and black leads to a red and green, which is right over here. See our red and green, and this goes into the pump, and I don't have power here. So somewhere between the red and black on that module all the way over here, I'm losing power. So now this is where I can't definitively say that the module is bad, because I don't know the theory of operation. Does the red and yellow, does the relay click on, send power to the red and black, which is protected by the fuse over here, and then sends power to this red and green, which powers on this motor? One thing I can rule out is it's probably that our motor is not bad. Number one, they put a a new OEM one in here, or OEM-ish, I guess, but we don't have power here. If I had a scanner, I could communicate with the module, and if the module was coming online, either it would give me faults, or if the module wasn't coming online, then I'd be more confident that, okay, we have powers and grounds going to the module, and the module is not communicating. And that's kind of where I'm stuck, because I can't verify powers and grounds because I don't have a good wiring diagram for this vehicle. So I can't even verify if I'm getting powers and grounds to it. I want to say yes because we have the red and yellow. The red and yellow, we do know that's power because it tells me in the diagram, but I can't confirm grounds. So let me take a look at that diagram. Maybe I'm reading something wrong, but if I can confirm the ground, then I could confirm that that module is bad. And then here's the next question. Does it have to be programmed? So that's kind of where I'm at. It's 2 weeks later, and I actually have an update on that BMW. So I wasn't sure that it was the module. We tested powers and grounds and everything. And even after testing all that information, I wasn't 100% sure that that was the issue. The customer went ahead despite my recommendation of not getting it, and he picked one up. And when he picked it up, he put it in and it still didn't work, which I kind of figured. I took a look at the wiring diagram again, and the one thing that I did not test, which I should have tested, was the ride height sensors. So I spoke to him about the ride height sensors. He informed me that he changed it with some aftermarket ones that he put on Amazon. No good. A BMW, a vehicle that expensive, you don't want to mess with anything aftermarket or anything like that. So I went back over there. We popped in the original ride height sensors, and what do you know? The vehicle started rising. Well, it tried to. I started listening, I heard a hissing sound, and long story short, it was actually the passenger rear airbag had a big leak in it. So my theory is that the big leak happened, the motor kept on running, and it just eventually burnt itself out. So we can confirm that his initial diagnosis was the motor was bad, which he did change, but he actually created another problem by using cheap garbage stuff, just kind of throwing the parts cannon at it. I can't stress this enough. Use quality OEM parts. Don't use that cheap aftermarket stuff. And if you're not sure, don't throw away the original stuff. Fortunately, he kept that stuff, so we were able to pop it in. As far as his plans for the vehicle, I gave him my recommendation that with the major engine leak, the engine making noises, the power steering issues, and the vehicle has a whole slew of other issues, maybe put an airbag in it and see if they could take it to the dealer and how much the dealer will give them, or do something as trades. So pretty cool. Glad I was able to at least get on the right path, but yeah, I definitely learned, ask more questions, no aftermarket junk, and that would have probably saved us a lot of issues. So hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.